This is the most luxurious wooden cabin shelter I have ever seen. Moss was planted on the roof. Even the floor was paved with wooden stakes. The entire small house looks perfectly integrated with nature. If you don't like it, you can also try living in the crevices of stones, or perhaps a small house in the sky living on a big tree. Every weekend, Anthony, the master of outdoor construction, would always come to the jungle for hiking. We walk along the mountain path for 5 consecutive hours. It's still drizzling. Anthony decided to build a shelter beside this big rock to spend the night. He first cleared out an open space. There are quite a few small stones and pine cones on the ground. Everything needs to be cleaned up thoroughly. He soon cleared out an open space. Anthony plans to build a shelter that blends in with nature. The most important material for building a shelter is wood. There are quite a few trees nearby. For low carbon and environmental protection, Anthony only uses dry wood as the material for a shelter. The collected wood still needs to be processed. He cut it to the desired size with an axe. The above-mentioned ancient huge rocks serve as support points. Lay the wood diagonally on the stone. Make one wall of the shelter. The amount of wood needed is far more than this. Anthony found a large number of dead wood heads again. Saw the wood to the same length. Then continue to spread it on the stones. Each piece of wood needs to be adjusted according to the concave and convex details of the stone. Anthony pushed the wood one by one into the crevices of the stones. The initial shape of a shelter has been built. It's still raining heavily in the sky now. Anthony dug up a lot of moss on the ground again. All the contestants who have watched solitary living in the wilderness know. The roof of the shelter built with moss can keep out the rain. He spread the collected moss between the crevices of the wood. Lay them out one block at a time. It wasn't long before he finished the roof of the shelter. Anthony piled up a fire with stones at the door. Put the wood underneath. Put some small wood chips on top. The fire was successfully made by igniting the sawdust with a fire stick. After the fire is completely on fire, Anthony came to the stream with a kettle to fill it with water. We walked along the mountain path for several hours just to get a pot of water. He found another flat stone slab in the water. This stone slab can be used to cook dinner. After returning to the shelter, Anthony began to prepare dinner for today. Cut the tomatoes into small slices. Then have another onion. Cut into small pieces and then into strips. There is also garlic for seasoning. Smash the garlic and set it aside. The star of tonight is a piece of beef. Sprinkle salt and marinate. Add 2 more sticks of lost fragrance and 2 slices of garlic for seasoning. Heat the stone slab directly on the charcoal. While waiting, I cut another piece of French dry bread. Drizzle sesame oil on the stone slab. After sprinkling onions, spread the butter on the bread. Bread that has been fried or baked tastes more fragrant. The aroma of Anthony cooking dinner had already filled the entire wilderness. The bread was baked until it was crispy. Next, place the beef on the stone slab. Fry until both sides are golden brown. A few minutes later, a medium-rare steak is ready. Today's dinner has a balanced mix of meat and vegetables. Cut the steak into small pieces. Then spread it on the toasted bread. Pair with various side dishes. Then spread another layer of beef on top. Cover with toasted bread. A wild burger is ready. Anthony was sitting in the shelter, savoring the freshly cooked dinner. After having a full meal, light up the small hanging lamp as well. Hang it at the entrance of the shelter to ward off evil spirits. Anthony fell asleep in this peaceful wilderness. After getting up the next day, Anthony made pine needle tea again. Pair it with a few biscuits for breakfast. After having a full meal, pack up and go back to work. I didn't sleep well in the shelter I built last week. This week he decided to come camping in the mountains again. Anthony couldn't walk any further in front of an ancient boulder. He decided to build a shelter here. First, clear a patch of land on the ground. The next step is to collect the wood needed to build the shelter. There are quite a few dead trees here. Anthony cut the wood into small sections with a saw. The most arduous part of this process is moving the wood. Anthony placed the thick wood horizontally on the ground. Then find 2 small pieces of wood. Fix them to the big piece of wood. Then put a big piece of wood on it. Even the length should be kept consistent. Spread a layer of moss on the surface of the wood. This can make the wood pieces press more tightly against each other and be airtight. 3 large pieces of wood can build a low wall. He found another withered and rotten piece of wood nearby. Use an axe to cut it into a relatively flat surface. Press the wood against the low wall. The sloping shelter built last week was too cramped. This time, Anthony plans to build a half-room shaped shelter. He collected a lot of smaller pieces of wood nearby. Anthony spread the wood diagonally on the stones and the low wall. Every piece of wood needs to fit perfectly with the low walls and stone walls. The roof framework of a shelter was soon erected. Then he made another wall for the shelter. The best material for perfecting the crevices of shelters is moss. Building a shelter with moss not only protects against rain, but also keeps warm. Anthony evenly spread the collected moss on the roof of the shelter. He ingeniously combines materials from nature. Build a forest cabin that blends in with nature. As a perfect obsessive-compulsive disorder, Anthony stuffed every crevice of the shelter with moss. Only the position of one chimney opening was retained. Soon a small forest cabin was completed. But this is still not perfect. Anthony tidied up the open space in front of the shelter again. Do you think he fell down after urinating at night when he got up? In fact, it's not. He covered the entire area around the shelter with moss. Even the stones were wrapped in moss. Then they found many more pine branches. Spread it inside the shelter as a mattress. Cover all the areas of the fire pit with moss. If you want to live a decent life, you must have a bit of greenery. Now it's time to make dinner. Cut down some wood as firewood. This time Anthony brought a portable stove. No wonder the place for the fire was not reserved. The stove is there, but still lacks a chimney. Anthony took out a roll of tin foil. Roll it vertically into a circle. Then, you can make a chimney by covering it with a trap. Install the chimney on the roof of the shelter. He made a fire in the shelter. The situation inside can also be seen from outside the furnace. I've been busy all day. It's time to make dinner. Slice the potatoes. Then sprinkle with chili powder. Then wrap it with tin foil. Bake it in the stove. Then drizzle some oil over the iron pot. Fry the steak directly on the iron pan. I've never seen such a cooking method without fire or electricity before. Sprinkle some salt for seasoning. Fry the steak until both sides are golden brown. The baked potatoes are also ready. Today's dinner consists of a piece of beef and a baked potato. Although the dinner was simple, but eating steak in such a cozy shelter. Isn't this also a kind of happiness? This shelter is larger than the one last week. I'm sure I'll have a good sleep tonight. Anthony set up 2 shelters last 2 weeks. Although it looks very nice, but the spaces are all too small. It's uncomfortable to sleep. This week he decided to build a real log cabin in the jungle. He found an open space. It looks very nice. Use a shovel to clear a spot on the ground. Then find a few stones to draw the baseline. Building a jungle cabin is different from building a stone shelter. Anthony sharpened a sharp thorn from one end of the wood. This makes it easier for the wooden stick to be inserted into the ground. He stuck the branch in the ground and compacted it with stones. The pillars of the shelter have been erected. The next step is to build the walls of the small wooden house. Anthony collected a lot of wood. Place the wood horizontally on the pillar. Then fix it from both sides. Put a layer of moss on the wood. Then stack the pieces of wood one by one. This way, the walls of the small wooden house were made. He split another piece of wood in half. Grind out a smooth and flat surface. Make a hole in the wood. The main purpose is to install the crossbeam at the entrance of the shelter. Then build the other wall in the same way. At this moment, heavy snow began to fall from the sky. After the snow stops, Anthony continued to build this jungle cabin. Shawamu, thanks to Anthony's efforts. Slowly, the third wall was built. This time, Anthony decided not to sleep on the ground anymore. He wants to build a bed that is off the ground. After making a wooden frame, Anthony cut down a lot of wood of uniform length. A small wooden bed can be made by laying wood on the bed frame. Just fix it with wooden nails from both sides. Lying on it is much more comfortable than sleeping on the ground. He brought in many large stones again. Embed the stone under the door. Such an advanced construction method. Even mice couldn't resist coming out to learn from others. Anthony used stones to inlay the gaps at the bottom of the log cabin. This makes up for the defect of uneven ground during the early construction. The next step is to build the last wall for the shelter. This wall contains the structure of a door, so it's relatively more complicated. Every position is very particular. Anthony even polished every piece of wood, and it is pre-assembled on the ground. Then split a groove in each piece of wood. Then lay the wooden boards on it. Fix each piece of wood with wooden nails. A door is done, but what is still lacking? That's the door handle. He picked up a bent branch at random. A simple polish with a knife can make a handle. Then just fix it on the wood. Anthony installed the finished wooden door directly onto the crossbeam. It's also very convenient to use. Next, only the last small wall needs to be improved. Anthony also reserved space for the window. This log cabin shelter has been upgraded by thousands of times compared to the previous stone shelter. The general structure of a small wooden house has been formed. Cover it with a tarpaulin and it's ready for use. But Anthony is a perfectionist man with obsessive-compulsive disorder level 10. He decided to build a sloping roof for the shelter. First, build a conical frame in the shelter. This frame is fixed to each other with wooden nails. Then lay a triangular wooden frame on the roof. Just piece them together one by one. When building the roof, pay attention to leaving space for the chimney. The remaining positions can be directly joined together. Anthony spread a tarpaulin on the roof. With it, there's no need to worry about water leakage even in heavy rain. Previously, the roofs were all covered with moss, but the shelf life is really too short. This time, cover the roof with tarpaulin. One can live here for a lifetime. To make the roof structure more solid, Anthony fixed it again with wood. After the roof is fixed, Anthony directly covered it with dead leaves, and it also contains some soil. For a perfectionist, this is not over yet. He spread another layer of moss on the soil. This not only serves an aesthetic purpose. Moreover, moss will not die due to a lack of soil. It's really wonderful. He found another hollow piece of wood nearby. Install it on the roof to make a chimney. The grade has been raised significantly all of a sudden. He cut many more small wooden blocks. It turns out to be used for laying the floor. Have you ever seen a shelter where wooden floors are directly decorated with logs? It is no exaggeration to describe this wooden cabin shelter as 5-star. He flattened one end of the wood. One by one, they are installed on the top of the shelter. The small wall on the roof was thus erected. Both sides are the same. A small wooden house was finally completed. He added another handle to the door. It's more convenient to open and close the door from the inside. The gaps in the wood are then stuffed with moss. No light can pass through anywhere except the window. In winter, this is a warm and windproof shelter. This is a sauna in summer. He drew another area on the ground. Find many flat stones. He spread the stones evenly on the open ground by the door. Make the floor tiles for the entrance door. Then cover it with moss. A small garden in front of the door is done. Even the surroundings were covered with moss. A shelter has been completely completed. Next, he went to the river to fish again. The materials for building the cottage are sourced from nature. Even dinner is natural. These are all pollution-free, clear water fish from mountain streams. It's hard to buy even if you have money. Every time I cross the river, I have to walk along this tightrope. It looks very dangerous. In fact, it's not safe at all. Anthony piled up stones to make a fire. He made a fire in front of the shelter. Then a large stone slab was brought in. Fry the fish on a stone slab. The fish meat creaked on the stone slab. Fry the fish until both sides are golden brown and it's ready to eat. Sprinkle with lemon juice and it's ready to enjoy. At this moment, it began to rain heavily again. He transferred the charcoal to the stove in the shelter. With this stove, you won't have to worry about the cold when sleeping at night. In the uninhabited wild jungle, a moss wooden house shelter was emitting thick smoke. All of this seems just like poetry in distant places. Anthony cooked a pot of tea. The night in the jungle is pitch dark. Anthony lit a candle. After a busy day, I can finally go to sleep. The next morning, Anthony is collecting wood nearby. He wants to build a seat, flatten the surface of the wood. Then he carved another piece of wood. Do you think it's the leg of a chair? No, it's just the handle of the drill bit. He collected some more wood. Cut the wood into uniform-sized shapes. Then install it on the wood. A chair is done. Put it at the door of the wooden house. Sitting at the door and enjoying the squirrels in the trees. No one will ever guess what this squirrel is doing. The chair is here again, but there is still a shortage of dining table. He shaved a few more pieces of wood. Insert the wood in front of the chair. Lay another stone slab to make a tabletop. One word, perfect. It's time to cook dinner next. He burned a pile of charcoal in the fire. Then build a barbecue grill over the fire. Today's dinner is a roast chicken. Anthony roasted the chicken over charcoal. Meat alone is not enough. We still need some vegetarian dishes. Then he roasted tomatoes again. Potatoes serve as the carbohydrate for dinner. Only in this way can it be a sumptuous dinner. The aroma of roast chicken has already filled the entire wilderness. Anthony is tasting roast chicken. The fire was crackling nearby. This scene really made me hungry. Could this be the reason why Anthony is single? The noisy downtown area keeps him awake every night. The peaceful jungle cabin made him have nightmares every night. Early the next morning, he came to the stream to fish. Native stream fish do not have a muddy smell. It tastes good no matter how you cook it. I also picked some wild mushrooms on the ground casually. This is a delicacy from the mountains. Today's dinner consists of 2 stream fish. Add some wild mushrooms and onions. Skewer the fish on a wooden stick and grill it. Stewing winnow mushrooms in an iron pot. Bake another pancake. Put all the ingredients on the pancake to make a meat roll. I simply had another meal. Look up at the sky. This life has not been lived in vain. The shelter built in the past few weeks has always been on the ground. It feels very boring for him, who has always lived on the ground. It would be great if I could live in heaven. Anthony found an ancient giant tree. He climbed up along the branch. The branches are very big and easy to climb. The structure of the tree root is very large. It's enough to support him. Anthony began cutting down wood nearby. He's going to build an aerial shelter in the tree. The most difficult part of building an aerial shelter is transporting wood. Anthony tied himself to the seat belt with a rope, then transport the wood up the big tree bit by bit. He cut down another piece of wood as long as silk. Small pieces of wood are relatively light. Just throw it up directly. It began to rain heavily at this moment, and there was a thunderclap. Anthony took shelter from the rain under a big tree. Continue working after the sky clears up. Anthony used 2 pieces of wood as the support frame for the shelter. Balance the wood by using small wooden pads. Tie the 2 ends of the wood with a rope to secure them. He collected many more small pieces of wood. These pieces of wood will serve as the base plate of the shelter. He pulled the wood up in bundles, then lay it on the wooden stand. Each piece of wood is tied up with a rope, although not sturdy, but it's not durable at all. It wasn't long before he laid out the base plate of the shelter. He carved another piece of wood, placed the wood on the base plate as a horizontal fix. Trim the length again with a saw. This way it looks more beautiful. In this way, he had an aerial platform. Then lay out the tent. An aerial shelter has finally been completed. Lay a layer of mat inside as a bed. I've been busy all day. It's time to prepare dinner for today. He found a large stone slab. Many more stones were brought in. Build a fire pit. Every time he cooks, he will chop a lot of firewood. Onions and potatoes are the foods I must eat every time. There is still a piece of steak. Today's topic is the control shelter. The steak should also be skewered and grilled. I've been busy all day. At this moment, I was rewarded with delicious food. The nights in the jungle are rather cold. Anthony made a fire in the shelter. This way, you won't feel cold when you fall asleep at night. The curtain was drawn early the next morning. Watching the sunlight pierce the woods, this feeling of your feet not touching the ground is really great. Have a cup of black coffee when you get up in the morning. Yesterday's efforts have brought about today's comfort. This scene is truly worth it. I didn't feel well staying in the air shelter last week. He still prefers to live in a wooden house. This week, Anthony decided to upgrade this shelter again. He sought a lot of short logs, then tie them between the ropes. It's much more convenient to go up and down with a ladder. Anthony skillfully fixed the ladder under the tree roots. It can barely bear the weight of a person. It will be more convenient to build a treehouse with a ladder. He inserted 2 pieces of wood into the platform to fix it, then put the wood in the middle. Cover the wood with moss. Then another piece of wood was placed. Fix every 2 pieces of wood with a rope once. He soon finished a wall. Then, in the same way, continue to build a wall on the other side. The shape of the small wooden house in the tree gradually emerged. The next step is to position the balcony. First, reserve a space for the entrance. With the support of tools, Anthony quickly made a door, then fixed many wooden sticks on it. Soon a door was made. Install a handle on the door. Install the door at the position of the shelter's balcony. The next step is to improve the structure of the roof. Anthony first installed a medium-sized pillar. This pillar can bear the weight of a person. He laid the wooden stick diagonally on the pillar of the roof. Anthony plans to build a sloping roof for the cabin. This requires a large amount of wood. He does it by stacking. Stack the back wall of the shelter all the way to the roof. What a perfect construction idea. This treehouse shelter has been completed by 80%. He is building the framework of the roof, considering that the load-bearing capacity of the treehouse cannot be too large. So he didn't spread all the wood. Instead, it directly improves the waterproof fabric as the roof. After a night of snowstorm, Anthony decided to continue improving this treehouse. He cut off a square piece of wood. Then the wood was cut into small pieces. He plans to stick wooden bricks on the front of the shelter. It's really creative to decorate the shelter in this way, although the process is complicated, but its weight is the lightest. This technique has received unanimous praise from everyone. So he continued to build the roof of the shelter by stacking wooden boards. He nailed the wooden chips onto them one by one. The roof becomes even more beautiful with the decoration of wood chips. Through his unremitting efforts, the roof of the sky cabin has been completed. If you have such patience to look for a girlfriend, it's not that I'm still single now. It is still snowing at this moment. The warmth of the shelter is of vital importance. I moved into my new home today. Anthony fried a big steak in the vast expanse of heavy snow. The flames from his cooking shone particularly brightly. Probably nothing can compare to having a steak in the heavy snow, right? At this moment, I feel that all my efforts have been worthwhile. Light a small stove to keep warm. Another weekend has passed like this.